How's it going, Wiltsey Wildcats? My name is Mr. Puebla. Thank you so much for joining me here and for clicking on this video. You actually clicked the video and you are listening and watching this School Loop training. It's designed to show you how to use School Loop. School Loop is what we use here at Wiltsey Middle School, and it's what maybe an older sibling or maybe someone else that has used it in the past, but we do use School Loop here at Wiltsey Middle School to keep track of our grades, keep track of our assignments, our homework, to keep track of news going on in our school or in our district, and to email teachers and whatnot. So a lot of things that we can do with School Loop. Super important to know how to use it in order to be successful here at Wiltsey. So we're gonna go ahead and get started and show you how to use School Loop. I promise to be as quick and efficient as I can in this video so that it is not long and dragging, okay? So let's get started. Let's show you how to log in to begin with, okay? So the logging in part, there's 4 different ways, actually 3, I'm lying. 3 different ways to log in. The number one most common way is using your Clever account, and that's what you're gonna see whenever you log into your Chromebook for the first time. That Clever window pops up, and then you log in with that login with Google icon right there. And then that takes you to the Clever portal where you can click the School Loop link, okay? That's one way to log into School Loop. And then the other way is opening up a Google web browser and typing in School Loop Wiltsey, like you guys see right here. And it's going to be the first thing that pops up in that web browser. And that's kind of how you're going to be able to get in there. The other option is to use your phone, okay? You can download the app on your App Store, your Apple App Store, or the Google Play, and download it to your phone and then stay logged in that way. And this way you stay logged in at all times. But it's also good to have it on your phone and also use it on a computer because one, convenience. When you have it on the phone, you can quickly open the app up and then see your information right away, all right? So keep that in mind. Whichever way you decide to go with, let's talk about the login process, which is just the beginning part of your email address. It's of 2 letters and then the ID number, followed by your lunch pin number. That's going to be your password right there. When you enter those 2 things, we're going to go then and jump into our home portal. Okay, and our home portal is going to be where the majority of your information is going to be at. It's a landing page, right? It's the first thing that shows up when you log into your School Loop. So let's take a moment to walk around this home portal so you can kind of learn what each of those pieces do. All right, so we're in our home portal. This is going to be, again, where everything is laid out for you on your main home landing page for School Loop. Okay, so let's talk about all the important pieces to this home portal page. Okay, to begin with, our academics. This is where you're going to find your grades. Now, if you're not seeing grades right here populated, then that means that you have them hidden. Go ahead and click the button right here that says Show Grades. In my case, it's already showing, so I don't need to click anything here, but that's where that button will be, okay? So grades go all the way down here, and grades are traditional grades here. So A, B, C, D, and the F. F means you're failing something, that you're not passing this class, okay? And in high school, an F actually translates into no credit, and that could possibly mean no graduation. So do not get used to this idea of getting Fs, okay? Try to aim for A's, B's, and C's, if anything. Try to avoid your F's and your D's during your stay here at Wiltsey and beyond for that matter, okay? Right next to that, we do have your zeros, and zeros are gonna be things that you haven't turned in. They're missing assignments, okay? And your teachers, whenever they put in a 0 into your grade book or an M for missing, it populates as a 0. So you do not want these to grow because zeros usually translate into lower grades. As you see here, like for example, these 5 zeros, and this person has an F in this class, okay? That's likely the reason. Right over here to the other side, you have the teacher's name, and then next to that, you have the little letter symbol right here, and that's actually going to be a way for you to directly email that teacher. By clicking on that button, it directly generates an email for that one teacher, so you can actually just send them a quick message right away if you have a question about an assignment. Now we're going to talk a little bit more about these grades in a bit, but I'm going to move on to the next piece real quick right now. The other piece, attendance. The neat thing you have access to on the online portal through a computer is attendance. You can actually see if you've been marked absent for a class. So here, for example, you have a week's worth of attendances, and here, for example, I have 2 absences right here for period 1. Now, if you know that that's a mistake maybe, then I would now then email that teacher or call the front office and have them figure out why you were marked absent for those days, even though you know you were there present in that class. Okay, so really neat feature. Make sure you take advantage of this information. And if you want to see your entire attendance for the whole year, you can click right here where it says all attendance, and you'll be able to see your entire year and just verify that there are no mistakes, okay? So super neat, powerful tool. I'll go back out to academics. And then right below here, we have current assignments. All of these assignments are the same thing you're going to see in your Google Classroom feed. So it's likely the same exact stuff. It's just in a different format, different list type format, okay? but everything is here. Red obviously means that it was probably due already or due today. And then I'll list a few of the other future assignments. If you scroll down more, you'll see the calendar. You can see this like in a calendar format by changing the format right up here, but it basically gives you everything at a glance for the month, okay, for the most part. So take a look at that. If that helps you stay organized, great. If you have another system you're using like your Agenda or Google Classroom feed, then even better, okay? Right up here is our news section, and sometimes when we do have news being posted by your teacher, by the principal, by the assistant principal, by myself, you're going to see that populated right there into the news section. Super important that you're looking at that section and that you're reading those items, okay? Some of them, like I said, are very important information. For example, like when to pick up books, or maybe about food distribution, or maybe about when the school will be opening back up, or when maybe we have a school closure in the future. So all those information pieces are put into that news section. So make sure you're reading those, please, okay? The other piece here that's super important is mail, okay? Loop mail, or like email, is going to be super critical and important to use in School Loop, because it's one way that you'll be able to communicate with your teachers maybe if you have questions about your grades. So Loop mail is going to be right here, and we're going to talk about it in a little bit more detail later in the video, okay? But just know that the button right here is for mail, and also if you ever need to know if you have new mail, it'll show you right here. It's just like this notice is right here in green. It's telling me that I have new messages and I need to read them, okay? So make sure you're focused on this. But we're gonna obviously spend some more time with the academics. So let's jump into our next section. All right, so let's talk about part 3. Part 3 is your grades, and we're gonna dive into this with details, so more details, so you can kind of get an idea of what do you do with that information that you're being given, okay? So we're gonna focus on that academic portion in your home portal. So let's go and take a look. All right, so let's talk about those grades. Right now I'm focused in on this academic tab right here, which is very super important. It's also one of the first things your parents are gonna see or guardians see when they get those daily emails. They get them at night, and they'll get like a snapshot of your grades that you see right here. So in looking at these grades, these 3 classes down here for me, for example, A pluses, this person is doing really, really good in those classes, right? So there's really no need for me to kind of focus too much attention there. Zeros, there's nothing being that hasn't been turned in. Now, if I look at the other 2 classes, though, like pre-algebra and science, I'm obviously seeing some problems there because I have an F in those classes. And now to see more details, you're gonna click this this black triangle, and that'll expand the information about that class. And so here there are 5 zeros, and actually if you can see right here, these are the 5 zeros that are listed right below it here. So they tell you what you have missing, and those 5 zeros are right there. And it also is going to tell you the last few scores that were entered into the gradebook by the teacher, so you'll see those here as well. And then if you scroll a little bit down, you're going to see how that your overall class grade has done over the course of, let's say, the month or so. And here, obviously, you kind of just see this trend of going down and down and down. And the reason being probably because of all these zeros here that you see. So definitely not a good thing. So you want to make sure you're on top of your grade so that you don't see that grade slipping. If I check PE up here, for example, here's another example, 2 missing assignments, and here's the last 5 scores that the teacher inputted into their grade. But again, a downward trend in terms of your grade. So not good. Clearly, you guys are hopefully seeing that zeros affect your grade significantly. So it's on you to make sure you're getting those grades back up. And I would start by focusing on these zeros and seeing what you can turn in, especially the stuff that recently passed. Okay, and additionally too, with regards to those zeros, if you go down here to the zeros alert, you're actually going to be able to click. Let's go into that. And when you click, you're actually generating an entire list of all your zeros. This is usually what I give students whenever they're here in my office, or a parent that comes in asking, well, I didn't know my son had all these missing assignments. I'll usually print out the zero list. And this is something you can see on your end. And basically the neat thing about this is that it lists everything from all your classes, and it includes it from the earliest date to the furthest out date, right? Like in this case, August 28th, and the earliest assignment, September 11th. So all of these are in order. Now, I would myself is focus on the stuff that's recent, okay? Can you still turn these in? And how you find out is whether your teacher told you during class if you could turn stuff in late, or you might need to email a teacher, right? In terms of finding out whether or not you can still turn something in. So we're gonna talk about how to email a teacher in this next section. But before I do that, I wanna show you one last piece of information on this academic tab, which is really, really important. So the last piece I want to talk about here in this academic tab is going to be this progress report that you guys see right over here. This thing is going to give you a more detailed picture for each class. It basically is going to give you every single score that the teacher has entered for that class. You'll be able to see every single score that you receive for each assignment, every test, anything that was given to you and put into the gradebook and published. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at, for example, this pre-algebra class, which for me, again, it's troubling because I have an F, so I need to bring this grade up, okay? So I'm going to check this to see what is going on in my class, take a look at all my scores. So I'm going to go ahead and click here. All right, so we clicked and we see now the progress report for this particular class. This happens to be for pre-algebra. So as you can see here, everything here is laid out for you to see, every single assignment entered into the gradebook. At a glance, you kind of get an idea of what your scores have been in each assignment. For example, here on the first one at 813, I got 20 out of 20 points. But then I start seeing some M's or some zeros, and those for me are indicative that I didn't turn that in, right? And so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red marks that I see, and guess what? Those are my 5 zeros there. It's also going to show you the graph here of your grade and how it's just kind of trended downward. And so if I scroll a little bit further down, I'm also going to see the category. How is this grade? How is my grade in math class made? Like, what is it made up of? And so here you can see it's made up of classwork, it's made up of iReady homework assignments, and it's made up of quizzes so far, okay? And it tells you here how that grade is broken up. Now, the teacher's then going to take those 3 percentages, average them, and give you your final grade, basically, okay? Which in this case happens to be an F. And it's an F because in quizzes, this person has 0%, and in homework, iReady, they have 0%. In classwork, they do have 93%, but you know, it's not counting as much as these other categories, and that's why it's hurting this person. So if I was this person, what would I do? Is I would email the teacher to find out whether or not I could make up any of these recent assignments that I happened to miss, especially this quiz that I happened to miss, which was worth 20 points, but it's also worth 25% of my grade. So I'm going to email the teacher and ask them, can I still turn this in or do this quiz with you, like during your office hours or whatever it may be. Okay, whatever you can do to try to bring these grades up and turn in missing assignments would be amazing on your end. Okay, so this is a detailed progress report, as I mentioned. And now we're going to do is we're going to jump into the next part, which is part 4, which is email. Okay, and email is going to be a super critical piece to this whole school loop because it's going to be how you're going to be able to communicate with your teacher to try to, let's say, better a grade in a class. Okay, so let's take a look at part 4. All right, we're in part 4, almost done here. Now we're going to talk about the email, school loop email, which is super important, like I said, to be able to communicate with your teachers, with myself, whoever you need to relay a message to. So let's go ahead and show you how to do that. From your home portal, if you remember, there's different ways to access that email. One, remember, it tells you right up here if you have new emails. So there it is. Click on there and it would take you directly to your inbox so you can see all that new mail. You can also access it by clicking up here where it says Loop Mail. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll enter in there and click that button. Okay, so now that we're inside the inbox, let's take a look at what we're seeing here. Now, one thing I'm always going to look for whenever I'm entering into an inbox is to see what hasn't been read and what has been read. And in this case, if you guys notice, the stuff that's in bold is going to let me know that it hasn't been read. So if your entire inbox is full of these bold letters, then that's telling me that you have yet to even look at your messages, and that is not a good thing because there could be some super important things being sent to you by your teachers, and you're not reading them. That is not good. It's kind of like shoving papers in your backpack and never opening your backpack back up and looking at those papers, right? Not a good thing to do. So make sure, please, that you go through and you read these emails, read them, and once you're done reading them, you can actually check and then move them to an archive folder. It'll say archive inbox. You can do that or just leave them in your inbox. That's perfectly fine, but at least make sure you're reading your emails so that you should not see any bold items here, okay? That is number 1 here with your inbox. Okay, number 2 is how do we generate an email? Because you're gonna have to have those moments where you need to ask a teacher, can I still turn something in late? Or did I see a mistake, Miss Campagna, on my math test? You know, I got this score, this is what I have, but you wrote down this number instead. Can we get that fixed? You're gonna have to communicate, okay? You guys are practically teenagers, practically in high school, so make sure you're learning how to communicate with your teachers and with adults. So let's pretend that we're gonna send an email to a teacher. You would click up here, new message. And then when you click it, you're gonna get this window right here. So mine looks a little different than yours probably, but at the very top here, you're just gonna start typing in your teacher's name. So for example, if I have Mrs. Diaz, I'm gonna click here and then start typing D-I-A-Z and the name should pop up. Okay, and if you want, you can include myself on the email too. Perfectly okay if you want me to be in the loop with that. And then you're going to want to do a subject. Please make sure you indicate what this email is about. Don't just leave it blank or put a little happy face in it. Make sure you actually put the email, let me know what it's about. In this case, I put down missing assignment question, or maybe you want to put down mistake in my grade, or whatever the question may be, or when can we meet for extra help? So you guys get the idea. Make sure you put down a proper subject on that line, okay? And then type in your email, okay? Make sure you use proper English here, proper formatting. Your language arts teachers would appreciate you making sure that you're starting off your paragraphs correctly and you're starting off this introduction appropriately, like with a good morning or a good afternoon. Okay, let's be proper here. So in this case, I put down, good morning, Ms. Diaz. I had a question about my math homework, page 21. Let me move my face real quick. It says, it is a missing assignment. Can I still work on this and turn it into you? What day can I meet with you to get extra help with it? Okay, those are all nice, clear questions that I'm asking that teacher. And then make sure you put your first and last name at the bottom and then hit send. That's simple, okay? And that's what I'm gonna ask you to do, especially if you call me or ask me for help about, how do I bring a grade up? First thing I'm gonna tell you is reach out to your teacher. Ask them, shoot them an email, shoot them a message. Find out what you can still turn in, because I don't know what you can still turn in. Every teacher's a little bit different, so you wanna make sure you're asking them for that information, okay? Once you hit send, that's it, you're done. Check your inbox maybe the next day to see, give them some time to reply, okay, to your message. But basically, that is it in a nutshell. That is your school loop, okay? Super, super important to be using, super important to be checking every single day. It's part of your daily 3, as I mentioned from the get-go. Your daily 3, you should be checking your school loop, your Google Classroom feeds, and your Gmail account as well too, okay? Those are 3 main things you should be checking. And that is it, guys. Make sure you check out also our Pause Center website, and I wish you have a wonderful academic year, and I hope this video helped you out. Again, if you have any questions, reach out to us here in the Pause Center. Thank you.